Dear students, today we are going to read the chapter number 7 from our supplementary book, The Necklace. The Necklace this is a story of a dissatisfied middle class woman who dreams of wealth, glamour, rich romantic life. But this all ends in a disaster. This story indirectly focuses on the futility, on the uselessness of daydreaming and of living in an imaginary world, because doing so results only in disaster. So this is a beautiful lesson in the story that one should not overlook the hard realities of life. So what is the story? Matilda is invited to a grand party. She has a beautiful dress but no jewelry. She borrows a necklace from a friend and she loses it. She lost it. Then what happens? Now let's read the story. She was one of those pretty young ladies born as if through an error of destiny into a family of clerks. She was pretty young lady, but she was born into a family of clerk, not very rich, and as if it was because of the error of fortune or destiny. She had no dowry to get on her marriage, no hopes, no means of becoming known, loved and married by a man either rich or distinguished. Means she didn't have any such means that she could marry to a rich person, and she allowed herself to marry a petty clerk in the office of the board of education. So she accepted to be married to a simple clerk. A petty clerk means simple, of not high status, in the office of a board of education. She was simple, but she was unhappy. This lady was not happy with her life. She suffered incessantly, continuously, feeling herself born for all delicacies and luxuries. She always felt that she was born for all the luxuries of life, all the delicacies, good food items. She suffered from the poverty of her apartment, the shabby walls, dirty walls of her apartment, and the worn, overused chairs. All these things tortured and angered her. When she seated herself for dinner opposite her husband, who uncovered the tureen with a delighted air, saying, "Oh, the good pot pie! I know nothing better than that," means sitting opposite, very delightfully, the husband would uncover the tureen. Tureen means a big bowl with a lid, like a donga we call it. So uncovering it, he would happily say, "Oh, what a good food you have made." But she would think of elegant, delicious dinners of shining silver served in the silver pots. She thought of the exquisite food served in marvelous dishes. She had neither frocks, no jewels, nothing, and she loved only those things. Means she was totally unhappy, dissatisfied with her economic conditions. She had a rich friend, a schoolmate at the convent, who she did not like to visit. She did not like to visit that schoolmate because she was rich. She suffered so much when she returned. When she came back, she felt very bad about her condition, comparing it to the friend's condition. She wept for whole days from despair and disappointment, just imagining her condition in comparison to her rich friend. So, in the hopelessness, despair, and disappointment, she cried whole day. Now, one evening, her husband returned elated, excited, bearing in his hand a large envelope. Having a large envelope in his hand, very excited, her husband came. Here, he said, here is something for you. She quickly drew out a printed card on which inscribed these words. It was a card inside the envelope, and when she took it out, these words were written. So, what was written? The Ministry of Public Instruction and Madame George Compagnie ask the honor of Mr. and Madame Loisel's company Monday evening, January 18, at the minister's residence. So, it was an invitation card from the minister's home of a party. Now, instead of being delighted, happy, as her husband had hoped that she would be happy to see it, she threw the invitation spitefully, angrily upon the table, murmuring, what do you suppose I want with this? But, my dearie, I thought it would make you happy. You never go out, and this is an occasion, and a fine one. Everybody wishes one, everybody wants this type of occasion, and it is very select. Not many are given to employees. These cards are not given to many employees, these are given to very selected people. You will see the whole official world there. She looked at him with an irritated eye and declared impatiently, said, what do you suppose I have to wear to such a thing as that? Means on this occasion, what do you think I am going to wear? He had not thought of that, so he stammered. With pauses, he spoke, why, the dress you wear when we go to the theatre, it seems very pretty to me. He was silent, stupefied, in dismay, in disappointment. He was surprised, he was silent. At the sight of his wife's weeping, wife started weeping. He stammered, what is the matter? What is the matter? By a violent effort, she had controlled her vexation and responded in a calm voice. Controlling her anger, the wife replied in a calm voice, wiping her moist, wet cheeks, nothing, only I have no dress, and consequently I cannot go to this affair. I don't have any dress, and because of that, I cannot go to this party. Give your car to some colleague whose wife is better fitted out than I, who has much better things to wear. Give it to somebody else. He was grieved. He was sad, but answered, let us see, Matilda, how much would a suitable costume cost? Something that would serve for other occasions, something very simple. Okay, if you want a new dress, tell me how much it would cost. Something good but simple. She reflected for some seconds. She thought about it for some seconds, thinking of a sum that she could ask for without bringing with it an immediate refusal. Means she was thinking how much amount, the sum I should tell him so that he would not refuse it immediately. So, how much should she ask for him? Finally, she said in a hesitating voice, I cannot tell exactly, but it seems to me that 400 francs ought to cover it. I don't know exactly, but around 400 francs I will need for it. He turned a little pale, sad, because he had saved just this sum to buy a gun, because those 400, exactly 400 francs he had saved because he wanted to buy a gun, because he might be able to join some hunting parties the next summer with some friends who went to shoot larks on Sunday. His some of friend went for the bird shooting. Lark is a kind of bird. They went there on Sunday, so he also wanted to go with them. So he had saved 400 francs to buy a gun to join them. Nevertheless, he answered, "Very well, I'll give you 400 francs, but try to have a pretty dress." The day of the ball approached. Ball means the dance party, ball party, dance party. The day came, and Madame Loisel seemed sad. Matilda Loisel is full name, but she was still very sad, disturbed, anxious, worried. Nevertheless, her dress was nearly ready. Her husband said to her one evening, "What is the matter with you? You have acted strangely for 2-3 days. For last 2-3 days, your behavior is strange. What is the matter now?" And she responded. She replied, "I am vexed not to have a jewel, nothing to adorn myself with. I am worried, I am sad because I don't have any jewelry with which I can adorn myself." Adorn means to decorate. I shall have such a poverty stricken look. Without that, I will look very poor. I would prefer not to go to this party. He replied, husband said, "You can wear some natural flowers. In this season, they look pretty, they look very chic, means very beautiful. You can adorn yourself with the flowers." She was not convinced. "No," she said. She replied, "There is nothing more humiliating than to have a shabby air in the midst of the rich woman. In the middle of those so many rich women looking like very poor, it's very humiliating. It's very insulting." So she said no. She was not convinced. Then her husband cried out, "How stupid we are! Go and find your friend Madame Forestier and ask her to lend you her jewels." Oh, stupid, we did not think about this. You can borrow it from your friend who is very rich, Madame Forestier. Ask her to lend you some jewels. She uttered a cry of joy. She was happy now. She could do that. "It's true," she said. "I had not thought of that." The next day, she took herself to the friend's house. She went there and related her story of distress, told of everything to her. Madame Forestier went to her closet, to the almirah, took out a large jewel case, brought it, opened it, and said, "Choose, my dear. You select by yourself." She saw at first some bracelets, then a collar of pearls, then a Venetian cross of gold. Venetian means made in Venice. Cross of gold and jewels of admirable workmanship, admirable art and craft skills. She tried the jewels before the glass, the mirror, hesitated, but could neither decide to take them or to leave them. She was in confusion, dilemma. Then she asked, "Have you nothing more? Anything else you have?" "Why, yes. Look for yourself. You can see yourself. I do not know what will please you." Suddenly she discovered, in a black satin box, a superb necklace of diamonds. Her hands trembled as she took it out. She placed it about her throat, against her dress, and was ecstatic, very much excited with joy. Then she asked, in a hesitating voice, full of anxiety, she asked, "Can you lend me this? Only this?" "Why, yes, certainly," friend said. She fell upon the neck of her friend, embraced her with a passion, then went away with the treasure. thanking her, how happy she was. She left with that diamond necklace. The day of ball arrived. Party day came. Madame Loisel was a great success in the party. She was hit in the party. She was the prettiest of all, elegant, gracious, smiling, and full of joy. All the men noticed her, asked her name, and wanted to be presented, wanted her company. She danced with enthusiasm, intoxicated with pleasure. So happy she was, thinking of nothing but all this admiration, this victory so complete and sweet to her heart. She went home towards 4 o'clock in the morning. The whole night the dance party went on. In the morning, 4 o'clock, she went home. Her husband had been half asleep in one of the little saloons since midnight. The husband, poor husband, was waiting in some shops outside since the midnight with three other gentlemen whose wives were enjoying themselves very much. Like her, there were three more husbands. He threw around her shoulders and modest wraps they had carried, whose poverty clashed with the elegance of the ball costumes. Means he threw around her shoulders the simple wrapping cloth like a muffler they were carrying. She wished to hurry away in order not to be noticed by other women who were wrapping themselves in rich furs. When she reached to her husband, she wanted to go away quickly so that other women would not notice her. Loisel detained her, stopped her. Mr. Loisel said, "Wait," he said, "I am going to call a cab, a taxi." But she would not listen and descended the steps rapidly, quickly stepped out. When they were in the street, they found no carriage, no taxi they could find, and they began to seek for one. They tried to look for one, hailing the coachman whom they saw at a distance. They started calling a coachman, means a cab driver they saw coming. They walked along towards the river, hopeless and shivering. Finally, they found one of those old carriages, and that one sees in Paris after nightfall. After a long time walking in the street, finally they found one old taxi. It took them as far as their door, and they went wearily up to their apartment. It was all over for her. The party was over, and on his part, Mr. Loisel, he remembered that he would have to be at the office by 10 o'clock. He remembered he has to go to his office also. It was already morning. She removed the wraps from her shoulders before the glass. Those wraps, those fur which are worn like a muffler, she removed it in front of the mirror. For a final view of herself in the glory, she wanted to see herself for the last time before taking out those necklace. Suddenly she uttered a cry. She shouted. Her necklace was not around her neck. She did not see her necklace. It was not there. Okay, that was the first part. We will be completing it in the next video. Okay, it's enough for now. There is much in the story, so we'll be doing it in the next video. That's all for now. Thank you. Bye.